Oh, hello. I'm in Wales. I'm not in London. And I'm at Port Talbot, which is in South Wales, not far from Swansea. And behind me is Port Talbot railway station. So enough of my ugly face, and let's have a look at that. So I came here via Bristol. So I'm down to South Wales the weekend, and there's been quite a bit about Richard Burton, the famous actor. It's the centenary of his birth this year. In November he was born, and I came to Port Talbot because that's where he's sort of his early youth. It's not where he was born, but it's where he sort of had his youth, and well, it was the main sort of town, and it's a still town, and it still is. So this station, which I don't know when it was built, but it's a fantastic looking bit of architecture, I have to say. Actually better than Newport's. Right, so behind me, I thought this might have been something to do with the steelworks. It's not. It's Port Talbot Magistrates Court, which is fairly officious looking, and I assume with the amount of stuff going on here in the past and the amount of men working, I should imagine there was a fair amount of things that had to be sorted out, especially with things like drunk and disorderly, because drinking would have been a big thing. Just a little walk round really. I wanted to try and get down to the steelworks, but it's probably a little bit out of my scope. But I thought this building was quite interesting. Nice piece of what I would consider as being late 60s architecture. It must have been to do with the railways. We've got something over here which looks quite interesting, but I don't know what it's about. It's 1897, and it says PTRDG. I have no idea. I claim total ignorance on that. Now over the way there, let's see if I can get on this bench and get a better view of it. There's a fantastic looking cinema called the Plaza, a real piece of Art Deco there. I'd say actually even streamlined, modern. I actually went in there earlier. It's not a cinema anymore, but it's a sort of public space. So that's that. And then we've obviously got the hills beyond, because we're now in the valleys, or we would be going up to the valleys, and there's the big mountains, hills, and over and that way you can see another one, and there's some wind turbines in the distance. So I'm just going to take a little walk along and see if I can, because I don't claim to be any kind of expert on Port Talbot Steelworks, but it's been here for certainly, I'd imagine 150 years, something like that, if not more. It's like a lot of steelworks in Britain, it's been badly affected by change in terms of the ability to keep up with imported steel and the markets that they need to try and access. And there was a time when British steel, Welsh steel, was considered to be the best in the world, but that was a long time ago. So Port Talbot's going to be downsized major league really. It's going to lose its I think they're gas-fired or coke-fired systems for smelting, and it's going to go to electric arc, which will mean, someone actually told me in the shopping centre early on, someone who lives here, they said that basically it's going to go from sort of a few thousand people working at the steelworks to what'll be just a few hundred, because it just won't be the same need. It'll be reduced down in its size. So my thing that I'm into, and the thing that I sort of do outside of my work hours, is industrial stuff, manufacturing. So it's quite apt in a way that I should be coming along here. I came here really to see the display that they had in the shopping centre about Richard Burton's fantastically well researched and nicely presented display they've got in there. I had hoped to go to his the town of his birth, which I can never pronounce it properly, but I decided that was probably a little bit too much. It's a very hot day, and so I left that one. So I'm wondering, I'm just on this sort of, what is this? Actually, this is it the M4 or the A4241? You can see the steelworks sign, you see, look. See a close on there. Margam Steelworks. So I mean, I'm at the docks, so I'm heading in the right direction. But what I'm concerned about is I'm actually going to just run out of. I'm going to run out of flipping pavement to walk on. So yeah, this video might have to be sort of caught short or paused. And you're probably getting a lot of wind there. I'm sorry. That's not just me talking. I mean, I might be able to walk out a bit actually. So what I'll probably do, because this is just me waffling at the moment, but just to finish off what I was saying, is that, yeah, because my thing is sort of industry in London, it makes it a little bit sort of an away day to Wales to manufacture, because there's still manufacturing happening here, and so much of South Wales's industry has gone. It was a terrific powerhouse of industry. And the production, of course, of coal. And as I said, Welsh steel was amongst the best in the world, as well as stuff that was being produced in other parts of the country. So it's amazing, really, I think, given the way that things have gone, that this enormous great steelworks, and let's just give it the benefit of a close-up, because that's just part of it. It's a huge site, massive. You have a look at a map, it's enormous. So yeah, it's nice to be able to come out here, really, just to have a look and see somewhere different, somewhere that's not in London. Sorry about this, I'm having a right old time. I'm trying to get this camera, go back, right, more lovely landscape. The house, this is, to me, this is the real Wales, but you know, Wales is it's a big country. There's a lot of it. But for me, this is the bit I find really fascinating, interesting, and in a way, I feel a little bit like when I look at this massive steelworks, that, you know, I'm looking at something that's not probably going to be around for too much longer. Hopefully, there will be some form of steel making, but in terms of what you're looking in front of you, that a lot of that is possibly going to go. So in terms of the way it looks, it's going to change. So I'm going to pause a little bit and then come back. So apologies again, I'm fighting the wind, so I'm sorry about the wind noise. Try and talk a bit louder, there's not too many people around, so I can project my voice like Richard Burton used to do. He used to walk the hills and project his voice. Apparently he used to go out and talk at the top of his voice, reciting bits of Shakespeare, so much so that he'd lose his voice in the process. So as to perfect not only his reciting of a verse or whatever it might be, but also because he was trying desperately in his younger years, through being tutored by the man who basically gave him his name, which is Burton, Philip Burton, to try and lose his Welsh accent, so he could speak English, so he'd be able to get acting jobs. You can read all about that, don't take all that from me, because it's probably slightly inaccurate, but I do like this idea that Richard Burton would be walking through that sort of landscape like that, and booming at the top of his voice, because he's one of my favourite actors, but he had an incredible voice, and he was able to project and engage with people so magnificently. Right, anyway, enough about Richard Burton. There's a bit of water over there, I don't know whether you can see that. So obviously the process of making steel, you need a large amount of water for cooling things down, so that'll be what that's about. But it's, I mean, I don't know, I'm into industrial stuff, so for me, that view of that huge, great sort of site with all the bits and pieces is fascinating, because, well, in London we don't really have that anymore. It's gone. You get something like that at the Tate and Lyle factory in Silvertown in northeast London, but you're not really going to get it anywhere else. So a lot of things now are just stuck into sheds. You don't get to see all these things like chimneys and all this other stuff. But I mean, the making of steel and the various different forms of steel is an incredible sort of production process that required an awful lot of land, because it had to go through various processes, things like steel rolling, forging, all sorts of things. I mean, I have no idea really. I can't say, you know, what bit of the factory did what, but I mean, it is a wonderful thing. So I'm going to try and just see what's sort of beyond this roundabout. The sun is beating down on me. I'm probably going to get terrible sunburn. Just see what I can see beyond here. Hang on. Right, how about this for a comparison? So here is the steelworks, Port Talbot steelworks, and then we just revolve around here and you get that. Talk about a contrast. Now that is the sort of contrast you wouldn't get in London. You wouldn't have got that distinct contrast between industrial and just sort of raw nature. Oh, look at that, there's some steel going through on the train. Can you see that? That's rolled steel on the back of trucks. And that will go on and on for ages. So I assume that has come from the steelworks. Look at that. Sorry, the camera works atrocious because it's so sunny. That's the end of it. And that's all going to roll down to, I don't know where that's going. I assume it's come from the works. So I'm going to try and cross over to the other side. It sounds like some kind of black magic thing. We get a nice view back again of Port Talbot itself. See, that's another thing. I don't want to sound like I'm affected or being some sort of ponce or anything, but basically I was led to believe that the way you're supposed to say Port Talbot is you're supposed to just use one T, so you say Port Talbot. But then I feel like I'm being a bit of an idiot. So, I mean, it's called Port Talbot because it's a port. It was a port that was set up, and the Talbot family owned the land, so that's why it's called Port Talbot. Much in the same way that up in the northwest of England, Unilever, or the Lever brothers, had Port Sunlight, which still exists. That was a port because of Sunlight, the company that made soap. Now, here, I wonder whether this is legal notices. Oh, it's demolition works, look. Start the steam. Demolition of the blending and burning area. Demolition of harbour buildings and associated equipment. Demolition, more blending. So that these are notices to say that some of this stuff is coming down. You see, no one, apart from freaks like me, like buildings like this. No one's got any time for them at all, because it's like, oh, you know, it's dirty, grimy, ugly buildings. That was a very smelly truck. Don't know what it had in there. Yeah, but people just don't really like this sort of stuff. But I tell you what, when it goes, it's gone forever. And that's what this chap was saying to me in the shopping centre. He said, well, look, you know, it's once you shut down coke-fired steelmaking, that's it. You can't bring it back. You switch it off and that's it. You have to keep them going. So, I mean, to me, it looks a little bit like that's already actually happened. But this, yeah, what you're looking at now, a lot of this is probably going to start disappearing very soon. Got a sign. Got a sign. Tartar Steel, welcome to Tartar Steel Strip Products. I mean, pretty unimaginative, really. Not welcome to Port Talbot, the great home of British steel making. No, just welcome to Tartar Steel Strip Products, because it's just another part of Tartar's huge empire. This is the same company, as he's closing on that, it's the same company that owns Jaguar Land Rover, that owns Tetley Tea, and that owns, I don't know, I mean, I think they are going to buy more motor companies. I don't know. They are a huge industrial complex, and they're Indian. It's an Indian company. It shows you how India has changed, just like China did, into this huge economic powerhouse. within a very short space of time. Now there's a security hut there, so I'm going to keep well clear of that. But yeah, look at these buildings. I mean, this reminds me of Beckton in northeast London. Sort of structures there's concrete, 50s, 40s, 50s, could even be earlier than that. And then these buildings here, these sheds. Some of these could easily be 80 years old, if not older. That one over there with the windows, steel frame windows, probably 40s, 50s. That's a heck of a place. Yeah, I can't get any closer because there's a load of gates over there, so there's not an awful lot for me to do other than just sort of go back again. But yeah, anyway, look at that landscape. You see that contrast? So I'm in danger of getting a bit waffly now, really, because you sort of run out of things to say. I don't actually have any facts. Oh, what I do have is over there. Look at this. So that's a ship that may very well be bringing stuff in or taking it out. But that's a huge. I've got a feeling that the guy who's in the car behind me with the diesel engine running, he's watching me. You just know it. You can't have any interest in anything, you see, that's the thing. You can't have any interest. What are you doing? What are you up to? I'm just shooting a video. Why? Well, because I'm interested. That's not normal, is it? Why do you want to shoot pictures of the steelworks? Because I'm interested. I mean, I've had that before. People just don't get it. So why would you be interested in a dirty old factory? Make it into a Hollywood film with Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks or anybody else, and suddenly then it's understandable. But on a basic level, no, don't get it. Right, so that is, he's still there, look at that, watching me. He's going to wait until I go back on the main road. Yeah, I'm going to finish off the video here before someone comes up to me and, I don't know, threatens me. I'm going to stop this one there. I might do another video after this, going into Talbot, which is wonderful pronunciation there. No, it wasn't. I thought it was a security guard. It was just someone who's lost. Yes, Talbot, which is just outside of the town of Port Talbot, the main bit of it. And Talbot is where Richard Burton moved to as a much younger man. I think as a child, because his mother passed away and he's been taken in by, I think, his sister, who was obviously older than him, and a husband. And so he moved from the valleys out further to, I wish I could remember it now, not that, but anyway, he moved back down to here, or moved to here, and this is really where he went to school, and where he learnt his early bits of acting. So this is Richard Burton country. This is where he was forged, much like how poetically and Ponzi was by accident forged like the steel. They said they don't actually forge steel, they just make steel, they finish it off. But nice bit of driving there. It's a Saturday, it's summer, the lads are out. Right, I'm going to have a little venture back down and see if I can do a bit of take back. Thanks for watching.